all-time high. I need to, save that for the end of the night when I'm done, and then, yeah, who knows what degen mints I'll do after a couple hits. But yeah, I mean, I want to get into that more. I'm curious what's your favorite thing to smoke out of. But before we get into that, maybe we intro a little bit about you, the team. What's the overall vision for WeedGang, and then we can kind of get into the nitty gritty.
Money. Awesome. I'm increasingly concise, but my name is Dan Sutton. I'm the doxed co-founder of WeedGang, and as well as the founder of a little cannabis company up in Canada called Tantalus Labs. If you're ever in Canada, come cop some of our gear. We sell about 7,500 pounds a year of primo top shelf gear. We're pretty good at that, and we've built the business for 10 years to do just that. Wicked cultivators, super smart scientists, everybody on the team of 70 is kind of a killer, I don't mind saying. Right now we're doing about 500,000 pre-rolls a month. And so I was lucky to build that business from day one, founder, CEO, learned a few things, seen a few things, had some successes, had many failures, and learned a ton along the way. But along the way, the NFT world, Ethereum, Web3, many talented friends, many smart people I know are sort of beckoning, calling for better bridges between the cannabis industry and NFTs, especially. There are a few great projects out there that we love that are doing good things, and we want to be in that crew. And so WeedGang was born September 2021, now almost 6 months ago. But that 6 months has been action-packed. In its genesis, it is a online or on-chain DeFi strategy game where you can breed cannabis, you can battle cannabis, and you can collect authentic, original, and exclusive IP from actual cannabis breeders. The people that made these plants, sometimes over 10 years, to be as perfect as they are today. And there's a lot to read about it. The tokenomics are crazy. We're actually publishing the game's contract code, which is about 80% or so of the gameplay is baked into these two smart contracts, our plot and our Genesis NFT. And I just looked at it yesterday. I'm also not a dev myself, but I have some smart people helping interpret for me. One of the contracts is 193 lines of code, and the other contract is 141 lines of code. And there's basically a whole game in there. So we're going to put that up publicly, and any of you dev heads in this audience, you can scrutinize it before our pre-sale, which is tomorrow at 5 p.m. EST, and then our public sale is on Thursday at 5 p.m. EST. But I think that's kind of the broad strokes, and we can dive into the details as you see fit.
Sweet, man. Yeah, thanks for that brief intro. Let's go way back, though. Like, I want to see, what was the first time you smoked? What got you into weed to begin with? Like, you said it makes you smarter, so I mean, I would be smoking all the time if that was the case for me. But yeah, let's start there.
Yo, that's awesome. So I have had a good relationship with cannabis basically since I was in my mid-teens. We've got a pretty liberal attitude towards it out here where I'm from in British Columbia, Canada, which I highly recommend everybody to come visit, especially if they like cannabis. We got some of the
Not in
finest
the winter,
herb.
though, right?
Say again?
Not in the winter, though, right?
It's not so bad. I mean, it's a little wet. There's definitely snow on the mountains. You can do outdoorsy stuff. But yeah, I don't mind a little sunshine vacation in my winter time, getting away from Vancouver. But we do have good herb, and that's definitely been a part of our lifestyle. When I say it makes me smarter, it's also because I've kind of figured out how to do it the most efficiently for my particular brain, which is small doses and relatively frequently. But yeah, I mean, we used to run into the backwoods and smoke weed and just stare up at the trees. We used to smoke weed and like listen to albums end to end. Definitely smoke weed and party a lot. And I don't know, it was a big part of that culture. It was a big part of connection and laughing and meeting people. Sort of if someone was smoking a joint when I was in university at the University of Victoria, anyone was welcome to come join in, say what's up, have a couple of puffs. And I think that's kind of a cool ethos, an ethos that I see in NFTs. But yeah, safe to say, I've had a love affair with weed. I did take a few years off, kind of in my mid 20s, when I was wearing a suit to work and trying to be a smart finance guy. But I decided that that lifestyle was less cool than the cannabis lifestyle. And hey, look at us now.
Agreed. 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 Um, yeah, that's awesome. I too, very much got into weed. Um, for a little bit of the community aspects of it. Like I never really smoked weed alone. I would always just do it with my friends when we were hanging out. Um, and, it was just a special bond, especially back then, in high school where there was nothing to do, but sit around and hang out. So that was definitely some good times there. I would love to know, like what kind of apparatuses are you using? Are you smoking out of apples out there in the woods? You got some nice bongs. You got some pipes. What are your preferences there?
I mean, in the early days, I don't mind saying I've smoked out of a couple crushed up pop cans with holes in one side. And I mean, we were in the bong making business when we were kids. If you could put a hole in it, we'd figure out how to make a bong out of it. These days, I like a small joint. I got a little glass pipe that's kind of elegant and it allows me to have, like I say, small quantities, a couple puffs, and then just sort of continue about my day, which is more like emails and phone calls and CEO administration than it is about like chilling out in the park per se. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll try anything once. I've done the gravity bongs and all that crazy stuff. I think we got dab rigs for that now, so kids will be getting more sophisticated. But a nice joint or a blunt that can't really be beat in my view.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these dab rigs are, very futuristic, especially those uh cool gravity bongs that Seth Rogen has or whoever and everyone. One of our members is also very, very much into blunts as well, so I'm sure you'd be good friends with him. Um, but yeah, I mean, well, sorry, I just got to shill this vape real quick. But have you heard of the Dynavap?
Reps up Dynavap, they get love, man. I hear they're good quality. What do you love about it?
Dude, the Dynavap is it just gets you so high with such little weed, and yeah, it lasts forever. Like you can do this what you're doing with like take a couple hits there, but like it's literally just like a pinch. You don't even have to grind it up, and you're vaping, right? So you're not like inhaling the burnt toxins or whatever. We don't need to get into that, but yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, I think those things have really better flavor profiles. You can kind of taste the weed in the smoke, less smoke or no smoke, which is super cool. And many have come, few were chosen. I hear a lot of bad vape stories, especially when it comes to flower. I really like little live resin carts. You have them like 510 pens and stuff. They can be intense, like you just want a little bit of it. But vaping likely better for your health. There's no doubt. It is fair to say that smoking weed doesn't have the same effect on emphysema, lung cancer, and heart disease as smoking cigarettes, which is like really bad. But if you're smoking weed and you notice you're slow when you're running or something like that, take care of yourself. Take care of your bodies. We all got a long way to go.
Yeah, good little PSA there. Always good to know what you're getting into, no matter what it is, all the pluses and minuses. Um, yeah, Meg, our engagement manager down there with that bubble bath star, is very much into her weed pen that we got her addicted to when she visited us in the States. So that's been a good time. But yeah, we talked a lot about weed. Let's get back into the project a little bit. We are here for the JPEGs after all. Um, would love to hear more about your game. What does that mean to have a weed game and to battle and to breed?
This is awesome. And it's been like sort of instigated by me in the concept of making a fun little puzzle game and then enhanced first of all by a brilliant team of devs led by Squeebo, people that have built games before and looked at all different kinds of smart contracts, really have a good working knowledge of the system. By the way, learn Solidity. You want to make money in this space? Go learn Solidity. Those devs are doing crazy numbers, and they are very, very talented and somewhat rare. And then we had the advantage of having a bunch of other smart communities that we respect that also are down with play to earn and also are down with building games come in and give us advice and help shape it. And so I've always said, like, I'm idea agnostic. Wherever the good ideas come from, I'm down. But the first thing about our JPEG is that it gives you more little JPEGs. So we all are aware of this phenomenon of staking. You will be able to stake your strains on day one as soon as you mint them in our browser-based UI, and you will yield an ERC20 token called RAX. RAX has utility in our economy. You can use it to do things like breed. You can use it to do things like battle. You can use it to do things like buy plots, which are another game piece of ours, kind of to be thought of as an empty grow up. And what we really hope is that if we're successful in this mint and we're successful in deploying these gameplay features, the things you can do with that token over time will diversify. They'll bridge into other communities. They'll bridge into IRL utility, maybe, hopefully, one day. These are all sort of blue sky options based on our success in those first two things. But that sort of little utility piece and tokenomics hopefully will be the cornerstone of gameplay that integrates community participation, uh, you know, actual progression within the system and the mechanics, and then also like fun things to do like events, apparel, that kind of stuff. I personally kind of like to party, so I think the NFT world likes to party, so let's party.
Let's fucking party. I'm down for that. Do you guys have any IRL events planned, or like, are there any NFT conferences that you guys would like to attend?
I was actually at ETH Denver with WeedGang on my back, repping pretty hard just last weekend, which was so fun. I wasn't there in an official premise to like have a party or anything, but it was super cool to meet a lot of people and people with crazy ideas, like people that want to build the future of the internet, and it was super inspiring. Um, WeedGang does not have any official parties on the docket as of right now. Our focus, I think, is going to be getting, first of all, staking and Rax accrual going this Friday, then launching the breeding mechanic if we're smooth within a few weeks. Then we're going to launch the PvP mechanic a few weeks after that. And that is kind of our beachhead roadmap. We got to get that stuff done. Although I did have some homies talking to me in the channel today about at least a Vancouver throwdown because we're just coming out of COVID. Nightclubs are open now, which wasn't true a month ago. And it sounds like people are pretty thirsty to get their feet stomping. And I think it's a tour in the summer. I think we got to do some stuff. We got homies in LA. We got friends in New York. We got friends in London. We got friends in Berlin. We got friends in Amsterdam. I really like hanging out in all of those cities. So if you listeners are in on that, get down on our NFTs. We might invite you to a party you'll never forget.
Or a party that we might never remember?
That is true. At your leisure, at your discretion. Once again, I guess I'm an old salty dog in this, but I'm 36. I've been around the block a few times. And when I party, I like to party hard, but not to the point where I can't see or I'm hurting when I wake up. And you actually have more fun that way. This is me being boring, but
Is
less
that
booze, more weed, you'll have a better night. Promise you that.
is that party alpha you're dropping on us right now? Remember it, and it's better.
This is party old man salty advice. That's how I keep my CEO hat on in the day.
I think the part of the problem is, I don't always go into the party with the intention of not remembering it, but sometimes things just happen along the way.
All right, well, you and me are going to link up in Berlin for the WeedGang drop. We're going to bring everybody in this chat, and it's going to go off. How about that?
Hey, I'm down. Let's buy some tickets. What are we doing?
You'll you got to be in the WeedGang Discord for the notification.
Oh, there you go. Luckily enough, we've got it pinned right up there. Easy to join.
It would be if it wasn't locked right now. We're actually locking it just from now until the end of mint for security purposes. But post mint, you'll be able to get in the Discord, and you don't have to be in the Discord to mint. So we're just super careful about anybody trying to get in and scam people, which is just rife. Everyone's DMing each other all these terrible links. You got to keep your head up.
I feel rugged. But yeah, no, I think that makes sense. It's very important with security these days, especially with, I'm assuming maybe there's some cannabis enthusiasts in your group who aren't as experienced in the Web3 space. So you got to make sure you protect your community as best as possible.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's all of our responsibility to disseminate like a bit of information about keeping yourself safe using things like two-factor authentication and hardware wallets. If you have a significant amount of money, like those are really smart ideas. They're not hard to implement. We can do our best to keep the
Get
scammers
pings
out and
for,
hammer them down
basically.
when they
So
come in and all those things. But in this Web3 world, we all got to protect our own neck, man. It's one of those things. People are trying to steal your ETH out here. You got to keep your head up.
Yep, that's the double-edged sword of decentralization, right? All the power is in your hands. You don't have a bank to quote unquote keep your money safe. You are the bank. So there's pluses and minuses that come with that, but you gotta, as Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. So I'll leave it at that. But would love to learn more about the PvP side of things in your game. Very excited to see what that would look like. But before we get into that, how are the strains going to work? Are these strains real strains? Are they, magic fairy tale? What are they looking like?
Believe that. So, 10 of our strains are are called land race strains. These are originals from around the world that are sort of geologically centered in their origin. Some examples might be Punta Roja from Mexico or Afghan Kush, ones that are sort of historical building blocks, and those are going to be fire. Then 10 of our strains are licensed officially from the breeders that created them. There's some really famous sort of cult classics in there. Skunk number one is a great example. Sour Diesel is legendary. We got plenty more to reveal on that. And those strains, they are the art is hand drawn buds that are aligned in a generative algorithm. The buds are done by two of my very good friends, Jopa and Silo, two graffiti artists out here in Vancouver. And I think people are going to like it. It's kind of crazy. It also allows us to mix two different strains together, selecting maybe a bud shape from one parent, some colors from one parent, some colors from another. And so as people progress through the game, the art will kind of get crazier and crazier as the value traits, the core value traits of the strains that you breed get crazier and crazier. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I hope to have a super frosty, crazy purple, huge budded monster on my hands, in the next few months of gameplay. That'd be very fun.
Well, there you go. Let's talk about how is that purple studded beast gonna go against my 420 Blaze It roundhouse?
Dude, I love it. Yeah, so as players engage in breeding activity, you kind of got to ground yourself in the thought that how you progress your portfolio is through breeding, and how you test it against the competition is through PvP. So as I breed my first few breeds, I've got a few traits in the bud. The trait of potency measured in THC percent, the trait of flavor, which is measured by a measure called total terpenes that people will kind of figure out as they go, and then bud size. Those are the things that probably drive the best value prediction in my real world weed experience. And there's some color traits and some aesthetic traits. Now, as you breed, those traits will trend upwards. Sometimes one of those traits might go down. You can also engage in riskier breeding, where you might accelerate faster, but you have a downside of losing the breed and losing the racks you bet on it. Say you get sort of 5 or 10 breeds in, you're going to have a pretty badass strain on your hands. And that can then go toe to toe in a battle, which is true of the cannabis world. People come to show off their weed, people come to see who smokes better, who tastes better, who's is crazier. Uh, and in those battles, each of those traits is going to have kind of a weighted outcome. If it's a more advanced plant, it'll have a higher likelihood of winning, but it also has upset potential. So even if you have a weaker plant, sometimes you can win. And in that mode, you'll be able to wager for sort of different degrees of risk. Everyone's going to have to pay racks. By the way, every time you pay our in-game currency, the ERC20 token called racks, we actually burn it out of the economy. It doesn't come to a reserve or anything like that. You're actually removing it, and so those act as deflationary mechanics. And so you could pay up some racks to battle somebody. They take your racks. You play for progression. You might even bet your strains, and then they take pink slips, or you take pink slips. And so people will kind of be able to gauge their own level of risk tolerance there. But I'm really excited about PvP because it starts off as 1v1, but what happens one day when we have a tournament? That would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I love that. I think a tournament would be really cool. And I definitely want to get into a little bit more detail about the PvP. But before we do that, I gotta ask, is there incest? Like, can my Afghan Kush breed with another Afghan Kush?
Yo, that is far from incest. That is, in fact, a technique in the real world called backcrossing. And that's an alpha. If you want to cross two sour diesels together, you can actually make a more advanced sour diesel. And there's people that have done this to all kinds of historic plants to make them more modern, more flavorful, represent their character a bit better. Great example is Jack Herrera, which is a strain that's not in our game, but it's been crossed back on itself so many times to sort of strengthen its agricultural capability. And so players might find that that's a good strategy in the game. It's definitely something to try.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you learn something new every day, I guess. That's really cool. I didn't know it was that common of a thing. And yeah, I'd love to learn more about what does this battle actually look like. Am I just gonna press a button and then see, oh, you won or you lost, or like, what is that interface gonna be? How am I gonna be engaged? I really want to be in there, feeling like my bud's battling it out. Punching the other one in the face or whatever. Like, what does that look like?
So at the beginning, it's probably going to look pretty simple. As we get feedback like that, maybe this is our earliest piece of feedback, we'll make it more exciting. I don't think it's going to be quite Street Fighter 2 level combat simulator, but in essence, you'll put up a strain, you'll be match made with somebody else who has a similar strain or a similar portfolio size, and then you guys go head to head, and there'll be some flashing lights and explosions, and one player will come out victorious. Our goal is to make sure we can get this code deployed in an efficient and timely way. But I think it's also fair to say that we call it version one. There's going to be a lot of chances to add new stuff, to iterate stuff. That's what all I think good quality games are doing, is kind of tailoring their ability to excite their audience over time. But I hear you, man. One day, Smash Brothers for Weed. That's the long game vision. We can do it.
Smash, bro. Why settle there? Go for the World of Warcraft weeb. That's what everyone is promising in the NFT space nowadays. There's going to be 50 million World of Warcrafts, and they're all going to be us trading JPEGs. So,
My
what
World of Warcraft is going to be buds like walking around and like seeing orcs and kicking their ass. It's going to be super fun.
I'm here for it, man. Yeah, I like the matchmaking aspect of it. I think that's super important, just to make sure everyone's able to, find opponents, play the game, and not just sit in there waiting for some action. But there's got to be custom games, right? Am I going to be able to challenge my friends? Because my weed's obviously going to kick their ass, but I need them to know that.
I mean, I think that's the goal, is kicking our friends' ass at video games. Like, that's been true since Super Nintendo. I've had some epic N64 battles that end up in people throwing wired controllers across the room in my younger days. But yeah, I think that it's safe to say that isn't the beachhead strategy. That's sort of version 2 and onward. But the ability to do multiplayer, where we've got a team of 4 versus a team of 4, you can either do that IRL and hang around one custom game, or you can do that randomly or come together with a crew. The feasibility of doing a tournament where there's kind of like entry battles and racks fees, and then you come in and you can participate in an actual space, or you can participate digitally. These are all things we've been talking a lot about and we're super excited by. Those games get pretty complex, right? Like we've got to make sure the revenue streams are there to support that kind of a development studio, as well as the practical tech works well. The cool thing about these NFT on-chain games that sort of have UI interfaces that are off-chain is you can do a lot to the off-chain components. We actually do have upgradable contracts in theory, but I think those contracts we want to kind of build around them as best we can. So I think it's a new tech paradigm to some degree, but it's exciting, man. You're limited only by your imagination in
So,
this world.
från
That is straight facts, especially with Web3. You know, the world really is our oyster. And yeah, we just got to go out and execute. But there's so much potential that's been unlocked in this space. So I think that's really cool. Conscious, we're coming up on the 30-minute mark here, and I want to get some questions from the audience soon. I see this, this Snoop Dogg guy, Mr. Trader. He needs to get up here for the PFP like that. But yeah, is there anything that you'd like to go over before we kind of open it up?
Like, just once again to say thank you to everybody that's been backing us to this point. We're obviously at a bit of a fever pitch of excitement. Everybody's really fired up for our pre-sale tomorrow and then our public mint on Thursday. So I just really appreciate being put in this position. Let's see how we go, man. It's game day. Let's go get it.
Hey, oh man, I'm actually driving. I wasn't really ready to give ask questions, but basically, I guess one of the questions I had was the IP, basically in the relationship in playing the game. You need two strains in order to breed, right? In order to like advance the game, you can't just breed with just having just one strain.
That is correct. So we're advising everybody who can to buy in pairs. And those pairs, if you get two, you'll at least be able to do some breeds.
Okay, and
Like,
if you can like
go
kind
ahead.
of like elaborate on how, because I think in the white paper, I don't know if you made any updates or anything, the IP with the original Gen 1. So when you breed it with a different strain, you basically lose the Gen 1. So in order to keep the Gen 1, you kind of want to keep breeding the same um, Gen 1, basically, or the same strain.
Okay, word. So I'll put you guys on some games. So the Gen 1s are always going to be the kind of cornerstone of your portfolio. You don't want to burn those. You don't want to battle with those. You want to hold those because they're the only strains that have Rax accrual in perpetuity in the current in-game assets. And so those ones you hold on to, when you breed them, you get an additional strain. And so there is a mechanic where you can burn a strain to breed or burn two strains, but you don't want to do that with your Genesis strains. You want to hold on to your Genesis strains. By the time you have like 4 level 2s and 2 level 3s, you might want to burn some level 2s to get them up to level 3, but that will be further down the gameplay. But you don't have to burn. You can use those Genesis 1 strains to accrue racks, and then you can spend racks to breed for clarity.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Great.
Boys, the strategies are coming out, man. People are figuring this game out. I love to see it. We're going to publish the smart contract for you. And for those of you that like to go into the nuts and bolts of it, you'll be able to see some fun ways to progress.
I love it. And yeah, have a safe drive, Mr. Trader. We'll get to the next question soon, but I got to interject. You brought up some interesting points on the breeding, and is it going to be possible can you like gangbang a strain or like have an orgy, something like that? Like mix it up?
Dude, is this rated PG-13 or rated R? Cannabis is heterogeneous in its seeds, and also it has two sexes. There's male plants and there's female plants. When the male plants pollinate the female plants, you get seeds. That's breeding. We're not going to put you through the process of growing seeds and all that kind of stuff because it's a little bit crazy. So we're just cutting out the middleman and saying 2 strains equals 1 new child. But I don't think there's going to be any cannabis group sex in this game at this time. That doesn't really work in the real world.
All right, I had to ask. But yeah, we will go to probably a better question than that from Juddy.
Hey, everybody. You guys hear me clearly?
We got you.
Cool. Finding out pretty late about the project, but loved hearing all that you guys had to say about this. I just had two quick questions. So obviously, I know this project is centered around weed. Have you guys made any concentrated efforts to not only promote not just the weed aspect, but to invite people who may not who that's maybe isn't part of their everyday life, but maybe intrigued in learning about that lifestyle, because maybe not everybody in the community is a active weed smoker, or maybe they've flirted with trying it out. Like, just wanted to ask about that, and then just wanted to hear more about your guys' contract, if you guys can divulge any information about how you guys are going to have a safe mint, especially with all the craziness that's been going on in the space lately, where people have been having minting problems and smart contract issues and exploits and stuff like that.
Yo, super good questions. I'm going to answer the second one first. And so we invested in a really marquee talent to lead our dev team who's called Squeebo. He's doxed and also has contributed to a bunch of really good contract work in the space, especially around low gas tech. So we've done test mints, and the gas on average was sort of 15 to 20 US dollars using a combination of 1155, 721A. There's conversation about 721B, but I don't even know if that's a real thing yet. And so, he came on to the project and supported our existing dev team. He's performing a code audit. He's already done it. And then I had a second set of eyes, who's a smart dev friend of mine who went through it. Like I say, it's really light code base. And we're going to publish it so that you yourself can scrutinize it. You sound like a smart person, and you want to go take a look yourself. While seeing is believing. We've made every reasonable effort to protect our Discord, to protect our own digital identity, our own digital identities, our own digital currency, and we extend that to the community. We know there's always risk of failure and so people kind of need to weigh how proficient they think we are. But at the same token, we're leaning into that, and we see a lot of value in presenting that information transparently long term as we build our credibility and build our reputation. So does that answer that question?
Yes, that was a great answer. Thank you for that. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure that the community felt safe. Obviously, just a lot of projects aren't having that transparency like you guys and going through that auditing process. So that's very comforting to hear.
Well, some projects are committing fraud, and just so we're clear on that, my view that I've stated historically is there's more money in building something real. I'm self-interestedly building something real because scamming people out of money is A, not very profitable, and B, I have to go around my life thinking I stole from some random anonymous Russian person. I can't do this. I need to just...
That's a fact, bro.
Right. But it's a lot easier to just tell the truth in life.
Constantly looking over your shoulder, seriously.
Dude, I don't want to live that way. No one wants to live that way. And those rug pullers are all going to get got in the end. This is an indelible blockchain. Why do you think we're not going to be smarter at getting it in 5 years? Anyway, and some of you rug pullers out here aren't even protecting yourselves that well. If you're going to be a rug puller, you better be on a computer with a dedicated IP, VPN, fucking never been on an email once. Otherwise, someone can find you. I'm telling you. Anyway. So to your second question regarding bringing people in from the NFT community that might not be as interested in cannabis as they are in play to earn and gaming, you don't have to be a cannabis nerd to love this game. If you like genetics, if you like game theory, it's going to make a lot of sense. If you like just NFTs and utility and play to earn in general, it's going to be fun. The problem that we were trying to solve initially, and by the way, we have a lot of people in our Discord that are super into the play to earn aspect, but aren't necessarily participating in the weed related conversations. So I think that's a good sign, but there are probably 500 million weed smokers in the world. There's a lot of open-minded, kind of cool people that might be interested in NFTs. And so what are we at, maybe 1 million or 1.5 million wallets of people that have ever owned an NFT in the world? So I think that it's actually the other way. We want to extend a welcoming gesture. We want to share knowledge with people. We want to show them why we think this Web3 space is interesting, why the Ethereum ecosystem is interesting, why NFTs are interesting. And I think that's going to be a sort of slow, steady progress over time. But the stoners, man, they're smart. They're defiant. They don't necessarily like people setting up arbitrary rules. And the banking system kind of full of arbitrary rules. So I think you'll find them a supple audience. We got to bring them over one at a time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that answer. Thank you for your transparency. Looking forward to, your guys' drop, and, happy to be here in this Twitter Spaces with you and with the rest of the Metaverse headquarters team.
Thank you, sir, and really appreciate your interest in scrutiny. We all got to look out for each other, and if we build good projects that prove themselves over time, up and up and up, and it has to be consistent, reputations take time to build, then we can put the cream of the crop at the top of the space. And the rug pullers, man, we're coming for you all. We're going to get you.
Thanks again.
Peace out, player.
I love the answer, and great question, Juddy. Good to see you up here again. Next, we will go to English Farms.
My
Hey,
God.
what's up, guys?
From time.
Hey, I just wanted to let everybody know and kind of speak on that mint process a little bit, just because I did the free plot mints for WeedGang, and their contract is just like, it goes super smooth. It's the cheapest mints I've ever had. It's actually perfect. It's easy. I've never had to like back out and try to wait for less gas. It's always cheap, no matter what the GUI was. It was always like 15 to $20. So it's never been any problem at all minting with WeedGang.
I appreciate that. We get it done with Merkle trees. That's all I know on the topic, but y'all can go Google Merkle trees, and that's a core component of how we do things. But tech stuff, we're smart on it. It's also nascent. We do our best, and I think these guys stand behind their work. So if there are any hurdles, if there are any trip ups, we make sure we take care of people.
Yeah, also I wanted to say, like, they're doing everything like they can to prevent hacks and to prevent fraudulent people from getting into the system. They've locked the Discord up until the mint is done and all that. So they're taking their steps and everything to keep it legit and secure.
Thank you, English Farms. I appreciate that, and we can always do our best, but Discord is locked. It adds to the FOMO. You don't have to be in the Discord to mint, but people are pretty frothy in there.
No problem, for sure. I just wanted to let everyone know my opinion on how easy it went and everything.
English Farms has also backed us from day one and been helping out, giving us advice, sharing insight, being in the channel. So mad love to the WeedGang fam. We're out here, dude. We're really doing this.
Yeah, appreciate you coming up here, English, and good to hear your experience was a positive one. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. Thank y'all.
Yeah, if anyone else has a question or wants to come up, talk Kush, talk NFTs, feel free to do so. You can click that little button in the bottom left of your screen. Make sure you're on mobile. Otherwise, I can ask another question. So, some of our community members have heard of Looks Lab before. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar. And it seems like there's a similar value proposition there, similar idea for what you guys are doing. I'd love to hear, have you heard of them? What differentiates you two, or what do you like about their project? Don't like all the above.
Yeah, we know Green Genie. We know that squad. They're smart people, man. They've got a cool set of technical chops and insights. I think their 3D renders of weed are the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. It's fire. We both came out at like a really similar time. And it was funny because when we talked, they're like, oh, people are like, oh, is this a copycat project? Which one's copying which? And we're like, guys, like it takes months and months of preparation to be ready to like go live with a website and a Discord and fire all this stuff up. We were all clearly working on it in stealth, and just two smart groups of people that were like, hey, weed and NFTs, that makes sense. There's also, a few hundred other dope weed NFT projects, and probably will be thousands more. And we want to see everybody out here like building what they think is interesting, adding their specific insights in the future. I think their game's a bit different than ours. we're sort of really focused on breeding and battling. We might dive deeper into cannabis grow op design, which is kind of a specialization of mine. They've got a cool sort of supply chain take and a bunch of epic 3D art. So mad love to Look Labs, mad love to Crypto Cannabis Club, all these leaders that have paved the way, Stoned Ape Crew. They've really made it self-evident that cannabis and NFTs are going to cross over and intersect. And all we hope is that WeedGang is a voice in that conversation, and we bring our own take, our own culture. I hope we're all going to each other's parties. That's going to be sick.
Awesome. I love it. I love, the energy you're giving off. Not trying to put anyone down, and there's room for everyone, right, in the space. It's so small right now. So yeah, I mean,
I think it's super early, and I think everybody's got to prove themselves. Like everybody's got to go out and build a product that is exciting to their audience, and so the cream will always rise to the top. Quality is not a fad. We know this in cannabis, but I think everyone has their own take, their own insight, their own sort of area of specialization, and stronger together, man. That's never been truer than any sector I've ever seen compared to NFTs. It seems like bridging, collaboing, sharing audiences. This is the way we grow together.
I love it. Yeah, let's just get all that cream we can, and just up, up, up. That's the plan, right?
Steady, 1 foot at a time, but at the same token, build every day.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, I mean, it looks like pretty self-explanatory. People like weed, people like NFTs. I don't think there's too many questions right now. It seems. Once again, if you do have a question or just want to say what's up, feel free to pop up on stage. Otherwise, yeah, we can sort of wind it down here towards the hour mark.
Yeah, man, you know me. I'm always ready to talk, and I'm always ready to go and get back into the Discord and make sure everybody's good.
I love it. Do you have any questions in the Discord by chance? Is there anyone in there?
I'm actually in a separate office right now, so I'm not in front of my computer. I can only do one thing at once. It's like this new way to be. But I mean, I'm super interested in kind of Metaverse HQ's take, and we get it. You're here to share space with us and showcase this more than advocate for it and say, hey, this is what these guys are about. You make your own call. But what interested you in the project? Like, how did you guys get turned on to it? And what were the things that were like, yeah, this seems like these guys are on the right track?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the first thing that caught our eye was the floor price on your plots, um, doing pretty well so far. Getting close to the 420 mark. Might have eclipsed it now. I know it was around there this morning. So seeing that just kind of validates that there's something there. People are willing to put their money where their mouth is. And I can't remember, it was Mitch or Meg who really did the initial look through and brought it, scheduled that meeting. And then once we got on the call, I think we were just vibing with you. It's clear, you know what you're doing in the cannabis space, you know what you're doing in the NFT space. You've been around the block a few times, and yeah, I think from there, it's if we get a good vibe from a team, hearing what you're talking about with the security and the accountability side of things, it just gives us a lot of faith in you as a founder. And I like to bet on people. I also like to bet on weed. So it's kind of the best of both worlds there. And yeah, just excited to see what you guys continue to come up with.
That's super sick, and I really appreciate that vibe. And yeah, I mean, it kind of gets us excited. It's kind of a validation, but it also kind of sticks us in. I am fully doxxed, like thoroughly doxxed, like all over LinkedIn and Twitter and all kinds of stuff. And so I have to give this my best effort. My team has to give it their best effort. And sometimes even with your best effort, stuff can still go sideways. But it feels pretty magic right now. I mean, we're in a special moment. You guys have caught me at my most excited, my most nervous. Everything comes down to tomorrow. We've got to pass through that gate before we get out on the playing field. But I'm really proud of the little community we've got on our team. I'm proud of the broader community we've got in our Discord. And the one thing you will get from me is hustle. That's all I know. So I'm down to see this thing through. Who knows? Who knows what the future of NFTs and cannabis can yield? But WeedGang wants to be there.
Let's go. I'm pumped up, about to run through a wall after hearing that speech. But yeah, man, I'm in the same boat. I'm doxed out the wazoo. And yeah, everyone has the best intentions and you can give it your all. But, I'm a testament to that can also backfire as well, as Aslick here has proven with his PFP down there of the Hunger Brains, which we don't need to get too much into. But yeah, I think, you got to put in the hard work, the effort, and the hustle, and then have the right people there, maybe get a little lucky as well, and see what happens. But as long as you're putting in your best foot forward, that's all you can really do.
And it makes it more fun to bet on teams. That's what you said earlier. And like when I know the people, I want to cheer for them. Then you have a financial stake in their success. That's super fun. And in this context, it's all of the community's success. Like the community will dictate. If 80% of the community wants to sell on day 3, then the whole thing's not going to work. And so they get to choose how long they stay on the playing field, how long, we get to keep building. But like I say, starting small, building up over time, that's the old school way of investing. That's the way people make real money.
I got a quick question, if you don't mind, Jacob.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw you on mute, so go for it, man.
From the depths of MVHQ here. Appreciate all the info here, man. I'm really excited about the game. Kind of been digging into it just a little bit. One thing that I'm curious about is, when you kind of have this crossover of, and I'm a certified weed head myself, so I fully appreciate everything you guys are trying to do, but maybe some of the concern is, when you try to cross over some of maybe the normie, weed consumer industry into Web3, have there been any complications there in kind of transitioning the community into understanding what you guys are trying to do here?
Oh, 100%. Like at this point, 90% of the weed community that I know don't know what I'm doing, or like don't think this is a good idea even. But they just haven't really been shown the light, like they haven't seen the insides of a smart contract. They haven't seen, the Ethereum growth, how many developers, how many different people are building little apps and little games and little things in this ecosystem. So I don't blame them for not knowing, but I think it's going to be gradual. It's going to take time. And what we try to do at WeedGang, I think, is curate awesome people. Bring in dope people one at a time. There's going to be some people that are just nasty, never want to be a part of NFTs, and they inherently hate that thing. I don't know why. It's like, you're missing out, man. But if we're going to do partnerships, if we're going to do collabos, I have a strict no assholes rule. I've had to work super hard in my life to get to that place where no one shouts me down or thinks that they're, big swinging dick in the room. And so those are the kind of partnerships we want, are ego free. We're building together, we're doing interesting things. So I don't think we'll be like going nuclear on bringing every cannabis business we know into the space. But we got some pretty cool homies in cannabis. And cannabis, it intersects a lot of different other cultural aspects, like music. We've got some great friends in hip hop, some great friends in house music, certainly events, conferences, even, cannabis knows how to have a good time. So, yeah, bridging over into cannabis is going to be gradual. Some people will just not know now. Some people will never get it. But I think you're going to find a relatively open audience in the cannabis world.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer, man. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. I guess to piggyback off of that, um, do you have a preferred strategy in how you are going to kind of attack, your game and your ecosystem once it kind of goes live? How many plots are you kind of envisioning yourself, holding and staking on? And do you have any TLDR strategy tips for maybe anyone that's getting into it for the first time?
Yo, this is a great question. And I didn't design the smart contract, so I'm probably going to be finding corners and nooks and crannies. I also really want to play this game, But my devs and my team are kind of like, yo, if you're like a whale in the game and the economic value of your portfolio rises, you might have conflict of interests. I'm like, yo, that's true. I might need to like play and give the money away to charity or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But for me personally, I would want, if I could afford it, I can afford it, but if a player can afford it, a wide swath of genetic diversity, I'd probably want to, in the first few weeks of the game, collect myself like 8 or 10 Genesis strains if I could. And then that will give me a lot of different permutations. I'll be able to try a lot of different combinations. I'm probably more, this is funny though, right? Because players will want to know, have they made it so that the aggressive, risky breeding strategy makes their portfolio faster, or if they do the more conservative vibe? And I think they're actually like both pretty good strategies. So I think I might start with more aggressive breeds, and then once I have like a good stable, then pace it back a bit to be a little more risk averse. Those are probably good ideas. But the other thing is that some players might want to breed strains like just to see their color combinations. If you have like a couple strains with some purple in them, you might be able to get a strain that's fully purple, and that's a whole different progression axis. So people are going to kind of get to explore their own style and their own strategy. I have a feeling that the generation 2 and generation 3 strains will be exciting at the beginning, but if you just try to rest on your laurels and don't do anything with them, they're going to be less exciting, in maybe a 6-month time horizon. So there's a lot of incentive if you want to find the rare traits, if you want to find the craziest weed, you're going to have to continue to engage in the breeding activity and continue to burn the ERC20 token racks. And ultimately unpack it for your own self, whatever strategy starts to jive with your vibe.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. That answered my question completely. I know there's going to be a lot of different ways to kind of go about it here, but I, for one, am excited. I think, growing up, we all kind of have. Obviously, you're living it out in real life, kind of, cultivating and growing cannabis and things of that nature. But for many of us, it's kind of just been a thought, an idea, and it's something we all kind of want to do, but never really kind of understand how to go about it. So this is kind of a nice digital way to kind of get our feet wet with that part of it as well.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And what we hope is that maybe people who aren't super into weed, they learn a bit about weed from this game. They learn a bit about breeding. They learn a bit about expanding their production infrastructure and not making it too big too fast. You gotta manage the growth of your little empire in this game. But one piece of alpha I will drop, and I've talked about a bit before, is that where I really specialize is cultivation facility design. Like we built a 100,000 square foot of greenhouse with the most innovative lighting, water, airflow systems. We are completely pesticide free, so we have like an amazing integrated pest management program. Um, Soil health, bioorganic nutrients, all these crazy things that my cultivators have taught me over the years. We may be able to unpack a little city builder game where grow ops in the metaverse get increasingly tricked out, increasingly futuristic even. We're going to have grow ops on Mars one day, so we might as well design them here first. And in that way, it's almost like a learn to earn mechanic. If you want to nerd out on growing weed, we're a team that has the insight to sort of bring you along that journey. And if it turns people into better weed growers, then we've really done our job.
Yeah, that was the coolest part of reading through the website and even through the white paper. It's, every phase of the game, every stage of it is an actual phase of the growth process of cultivating cannabis, and so even from that standpoint, you feel a little bit more attached to it. It's not just something that's quickly thrown together for a quick buck or anything. It's got some real thought and some depth to it. So major props to you guys for putting that all together.
So I appreciate it, and it's the community that gets to bring it to life. So like that's the coolest part of this is we're going to do this backed by our players and backed by our people, and that's super interesting. But I mean, in my limited history, I think a lot of people look at startups as a fight. Two athletes in competition or two boxers punching each other out, when it's actually a lot more like the journey of the growth of a plant. You start off as a fragile seedling, like a little tiny baby, and the wind or the hail can knock you over and kill you. And then as you get stronger, your roots get stronger. You get, more capacity to withstand the forces of the environment. And one day you're a blooming cannabis plant or a sequoia tree, and it's hard to shake you. So we got a long journey ahead of us, but with the people we have around us, I'm super excited to go on that journey. And I'll be building for all of y'all, man. This is fun now.
Love it. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for answering all those.
Great questions, Poop. I love hearing your silky smooth voice. And yeah, we're gonna get Meg up here soon. She's gonna talk whether she likes it or not. But yeah, I think it looks like that's kind of all the questions that we have here, unless we get some eager people to raise their hands. We're all here for it. But otherwise, yeah, is there any final notes that you'd like to leave us with?
Just thanks again for sharing your stage with WeedGang. Most exciting day of our existence tomorrow, pre-sale, public mint, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Both days is when those get cracking. And I'm super pumped, man. I've never been so excited. I feel like we've got the kernel of something great here, and I really look forward to building it with all of you as we go.
Oh shit, a wild Mitch appeared.
Hey. I know we were just signing off, but I wanted to say hi. It just landed. And yes, I was following your Twitter and trying so badly to scoop me a mint. I think what y'all have been doing has been really cool and engaging and fun. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what y'all cook next, what y'all roll up next. This is going to be a fun time for sure. So wishing you well.
Yo, really appreciate it, Mitch, and thanks for calling in. I know you were in transit today, but we're stoked, man. This is going to be super exciting. And any and all of you, when you come through Vancouver, let me show you around. That's my town, and I'm born and raised here. We got some good weed. We got some fun stuff to do as well.
All right, let's do it. We've got a nice in real life DGen crew that we've been sort of bopping around the U.S., but we might have to take it international soon. I think Canada is an easy lift. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, it's on the destination list for sure. We'll probably go when it's warmer, but we're gonna go.
Summertime in Vancouver can't be beat, and that's also when the plants are at their happiest. So you can tack on a massive greenhouse full of 8-foot tall cannabis plants to your trip agenda, and we'll really get you up here.
That's beautiful.
I need a 10-foot, I don't know, plant diorama of the MVHQ logo is what I need when we get there. All right, is that something we can make happen?
100%, man. Whatever you need. You can also put it in post if you so choose.
Well, they always say do your own research, so I think we're gonna need to research these so-called plants first. DYOR, baby. But yes, happy to see this come into fruition, and thank you for spending your Tuesday with us, brother. We really appreciate it.
It's great to see y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll see y'all on Mint Day and Metaverse HQ. You heard it here first, man. It's good to see you guys shining. Thanks so much for sharing space.
Good luck, my man. Good luck with everything.
Peace out.
Appreciate your time. And yes, we'll be closing out the space now. If you haven't heard of Metaverse HQ, we are the premier alpha NFT community. Been around since the likes of Top Shot, back in the glory days before that was a quick rug. And now we're on the ETH chain. So we are looking to educate anyone who might be new to the space, or maybe you've just been trading on your own for a few months. We got some of the best traders and biggest whales in the space, so come learn in our little community, join the fam. If you have any other questions, feel free to DM one of the speakers up here today, the Metaverse HQ account, Jacob, Mitch, Meg as well. Otherwise, feel free to check out the website at mvhq.io. It is pinned right up there, and that will have all the information you will ever need. So, yes, thank you all for stopping by today.